Hey, this is Al McGee with YETicket.com. I'm here with director Murad Abu Eisheh, and he has a new short film called Tala'vision. Now, when you hear this title, you got to say, well, Tala'vision? Is he misspelling television? Tell us, Murad, what does that mean?
It is actually a misspelling. Children in the Middle East tend to misspell television to Tala'vision or Tala'vision or like different ways of it. And my personal way was Tala'vision. And yeah, and our main character's name is Tala, and it's Tala's vision as well. So it's a play on words.
Yeah, no, it's a good play on word. And I found this film scary because right now this is in Syria, and this is about the Syrian war, but it's about this young 8-year-old, and she loves television, she loves soccer, but then one day her father, to her, he came in there and just threw the television out. She doesn't understand why. Tell us about that part.
Well, during the war in Syria against ISIS in 2014, roughly, they banned access to televisions and satellites during the war. It was part of an effort to control people. And for me, I always wondered, because growing up, me personally, my window to the world was TV. So when I read this small piece of article news,
right.
I was like immediately imagining how little children would react to this. Like, what would be the reaction of a small child when you take away their TV from? And she doesn't understand really what's happening, like outside. She's only 7, she's 8. And that is the exact emotion I wanted the viewer to feel as well.
Yeah, I felt that she didn't understand, and she couldn't understand why her father, because she's not living with her mom, why her father was reacting like this. And her father would leave her alone a lot. And her father did not really explain to her what was going on. But she loved soccer. She wanted to see soccer. And you're absolutely correct. If a young kid doesn't have access to computer or television today, they will react the same way. Now, when I was watching this film also, I felt that this war-torn situation that you created, the blight, for example, the bathroom was blown up in the back. And I don't know how they use the facilities in this film, but it's awful. People don't realize war is really awful.
War is brutal, and the entire point of this film is to highlight what war is for children. Not direct fighting and death. It's this aftermath of war and like the normality of war and living during war. What is it to be a child during wartime? That is what the focus of the film is, actually.
Yeah, exactly. I felt that. And also, well, let's talk about you, Murad, a little bit. How did you get into filmmaking?
I kind of stumbled upon it during my first studies. I started my first studies. I did bachelor in design and visual communications. And I randomly took a film class. And just from the first class, it just clicked in my head, like, oh, this might be it for me. And with time, I started like interning into, so a lot of Hollywood productions take place in Jordan, where I grew up in. Yeah, so I interned and I worked in a lot of Hollywood productions, actually, that shot in Jordan. And every time I was on a huge shoot like Zero Dark 30 or The Martian, I was like super inspired by all the filmmakers that came together to create these masterpieces, and it quite inspired me to continue down that path.
And also, you say you watched a lot of television too as a young person growing up. And also, did you watch a lot of films from different countries besides America?
I did. I was really a big fan of, I mean, especially American films, but I was really watching a lot of French films and a lot of Italian films on our second channel. We didn't even have a satellite. We had like this antenna thing for like local Jordanian channel, and you had like French TV channel and an English one. And I, like, while all the children would play outside, I would just like sit at home and watch film after film, like without an end. But I didn't know as a child that that's what I wanted to do. And when I took that class, it kind of clicked in my head that I was really watching a lot of films, and it really got me in a certain way, but I wasn't aware of it. And yeah, and it slowly like clicked in with time.
So your family, they supported you when you switched and you wanted to become a filmmaker, and your friends too?
Not at the beginning, I have to say. My dad thought I lost my mind because there is no way to be a filmmaker in Jordan. Like, there's basically a little industry happening. So his literal words were, "How are you gonna put bread on your table?" So the beginning was kind of rough. I had to earn people's acceptance of my choice, but with time and with like slowly film after film, and when people saw my work and slowly like getting out there, like my family got on board.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah.
Tala'vision is a very good film, and let's get back to that quickly. Aisha Basalam, she played the lead role. She played Tala.
Yeah.
Did she audition for this role? Did you look at other young kids for this role? And also, was this a role for a female or a male? Tell us about that process.
The role was from the beginning written for a female little girl, and from the beginning, I knew we're not going to find a 7-year-old actor in Jordan, like little actress in Jordan that could take this role on. So we embarked on a super long casting adventure. We casted more than 200 children for the role. Her dad brought her to the audition that they heard about through like their community center. And she just walked in wearing this princess dress, and she didn't know what to do, and she never saw a camera in her life. And each child I saw, I put like some questions and a small exercise to see how they would react. And she was one of, like, I think the only child that reacted differently than the other 200 to the exercise we put on. And from the beginning, I looked at the casting director and I was like, okay, I think we found her. Like, she was really bright, extremely intuitive, and on camera, she was just breathtaking.
Oh, that's great. Now, Zaid Bakri, he played her father, Tyra. Is he a seasoned actor? Because I couldn't really find out information about him.
He is a seasoned actor in the Middle East. He comes from an acting family as well. His entire family, they're quite famous actors as well. He's definitely a talent to be reckoned with. Although his character was quite limited in the film and the concentration more was on Aisha's character, but he brought so much to the film, and I'm extremely grateful for him. And he had to travel to Jordan to come to us to do this film.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great, man. Because he was really very talented also. Also, he really showed the love that he had for his daughter. And also, he also showed that he will sacrifice anything to save his daughter. I like that part that you wrote in the script. Now, what inspired you to write that part in the script about him and his daughter have that type of relationship? Because that's a very rare type of relationship.
Definitely. I was just really trying to analyze what parents go through in this situation. Like when you're at war and your utmost priority is to protect your own child. They would definitely not be happy because you would have to make decisions that they wouldn't understand, like throwing the TV away. But at the same time, you would do absolutely anything to ensure as a parent that your child is okay and survives. So in this relationship, in its form comes contradiction. And within this contradiction, I was able to find the character of Ziad, which is a loving, caring father in his core, but from outside, he's like very harsh and like he's worn out by this war, you know?
Oh, you can see it in his face. And not only that, you can see it in the neighborhood, you can see it in the kids. Just one more thing I like to talk about the film is this young boy, he's walking down the street or playing with a ball, I can't remember the whole scene, but he looks up at Tala and calls her a bitch at a very young age. Are you showing that how young men are taught not to respect women that well? Because I thought that was very impressive, but also I found that very shocking because I never used that word when I was his age towards a woman or a young lady. I was really shocked at that, but also it told me a lot.
Yeah, I mean, in that scene in particular, she's sitting on the window and she's watching this old lady like sneaking a cigarette behind the wall, and this little boy playing with this ball in the destroyed street. And in this scene in particular, I wanted to mirror society, and I wanted to show how the old lady smoking a cigarette could be her years later. And at the same time, there is this little boy that is playing with freedom in the street, more or less, and has the audacity and the freedom to call whoever he wants, whatever he wants. So he's empowered by the masculine society and by the misogyny of the society we're living here in the Middle East, and especially underneath ISIS rule. It was extremely misogynistic, extremely conservative, and they empowered men to not only insult women, but as well to feel superior and to dehumanize women as their elements and as their property. So this boy wasn't doing it because he was taught to. He's probably doing it because he saw other men doing it.
Right.
And this is the norm for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really told me a lot about that. Now, as far as your film, is it hard to get your films get distribution around the world or anything like that?
I mean, it's definitely tricky. I mean, Arab-speaking cinema is still it's still small. It's still on the rise slowly. There is a certain niche in independent cinemas, independent filmmaking, that they accept this sort of films. We have a huge distribution company that takes care of the film in the Arab world, and at the same time in Germany that takes care of the world distribution. But it's more or less limited to Europe from what we're seeing so far. So there's definitely limitations. One, because it's a short film. Two, because it's a foreign language film, and people tend to not like reading subtitles. But I think the case with television is what makes it sell more, like on a very two-dimensional level, that there isn't a lot of dialogue in the film as well. From a distribution point of view, it's more about like the emotions and the looks of the actors, and there's really little dialogue in it.
Yeah. Well, I love reading subtitles myself. I love foreign films. When I was a young kid, I always loved foreign films because it was something different and interesting. It's about another society and another group of people someplace else that I cannot touch, I can't get close to at that time. Yeah. Well, what's next for you, Murad?
Actually, when we won the Student Academy Award for this film, we were in the desert shooting my next short film.
Oh, okay.
So we got the news in the middle of the desert. We shot a short film story of two little sisters running away from their father's home in the middle of nowhere. And it's more a journey into the desert, but it's more a journey into the mind and their fears.
Right.
So it's as well a bit scary, but more not into realism, more into their own thoughts and fears. And at the same time, I'm developing my feature film. It's a story based on true events from an Arab country. story of a man who raised a pride flag for a couple of minutes, and he had to pay like with literally everything that he has in this world, a price for homophobia from society. So it's quite a strong, dangerous idea to implement, I think, in Middle Eastern countries, but we're full ahead with this topic right now.
Okay, great. Well, I'd love to see that film and some more of your works. Keep me in touch here at YEticket.com. And thank you for taking time with me, Murad. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the film. I really did, because I never saw a young person or a young child's point of view in a war-torn situation like that. And I was totally surprised, and I really enjoyed it. I want to thank you, and thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
And peace to you, and much more success to you also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is your entertainment ticket. Latest and greatest movie.